All right, welcome everyone. We're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for
Summertime Rendering, Episode 2. Well, shit.
Yeah, we're in a time loop.
A time loop with doppelgangers and oh my.
Yeah, a whole mess of things that we love about anime. And specifically the mystery side of anime.
Oh,
because if you're going to do the kind of stuff where we're being tasked with investigating this shit, well then by all means, show us the same stuff again, but from a different little flashpoint perspective.
Oh yeah,
that just gets my anime balls tingling.
Well, you didn't have to put it like that.
I mean, everybody else knows that feeling, right? It's the opposite of when your anime, feet get the needles because you're looking at something too like high up. And you're like,
I thought you were gonna say it's the opposite of like when there's like romance backpedaling, or something like that, right?
Damn.
Yeah.
But specifically with having the time loop stuff go about, we know that at the very least the boat and potentially even the dream with Shiori giving him either like something or what have you.
Whether that was what started the time loop or just a previous iteration.
That's the anchor of the time loop.
Right.
Usually with these kinds of things, something is given as an introduction to the character's like first time at the time loop, but it doesn't necessarily mean that's the beginning of time loops in the story.
Exactly.
That just means they're entering into the temporal fuckery now.
Right. It doesn't even have to be the catalyzing event that causes the time loop.
Correct. Yeah.
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 But here we are, and we started off with a face and boobs. I mean, that. Yeah.
And now he's going to have a death attached to the face and boobs that he remembers.
Yep.
And he'll have to investigate that.
Right.
But there's also some fucky shit going on here too. We actually saw a doppelganger.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that's a little bit strange here, is there's this little element of where this is actually potentially supernatural. We don't usually go into that immediately when the time loop or sci-fi related stuff goes about.
So it's a murder mystery where we know the culprit.
Or do
culprits.
We? Yeah.
Or
because that's the thing that's weird. If we've seen an actual kill happen, is this more of a horror setup then? Because it's in that iteration maybe
it does have that kind of feel.
Yeah, maybe Mio was the doppelganger for that iteration, or
and who's to say there's only one doppelganger per iteration?
Well, I think they're setting up the thing in which it's not that you have specifically like one person always being the doppelganger. It could be that there's a bunch of creatures, a bunch of shadow things, or what have you.
Yep, the whole city everybody in the city theoretically could have a doppelganger, right?
But it's whether like they act or something that maybe makes the time loops different.
And that's where this show is probably going to get weird, but also simpler, because now that we had that crazy first episode, this next episode is probably going to give us a very good
hard set of rules,
or at the very least a vibe that the show is going to adhere to, right? Because they can take this in all sorts of different directions with the stuff that they set up in the first episode. And so now the question is just, what do they want to pick?
Yeah. So, y'all, without further ado, let's get into this. Whoa.
Okay. And he's seeing this.
Yeah. So he's getting extra sensory vision in addition to the actual...
Oh, yeah, so he gets a new vision each time the time loop iterates.
Yeah, it's almost like there's a... That's a grand blue face right there! Why did we get the full thing?
It really was, yeah.
Yep.
In one of these iterations, he's going to plant his face in her boobs and then be like, okay, don't freak out, but I'm in a time loop.
Oh, that was interesting. Yeah. Yeah. That's it. You always begin conversations this way? Smacking your face into boobs and then asking very odd questions like that?
Oh, he doesn't have... His memory is hazy. Oh, shit.
No, he's got a pretty strong memory of it, but I think it's also that
Right, this is the first iteration of the time loop, so he needs to realize that he is actually in a time loop.
Yeah. And then I was, yeah. His manhwa that he's recently been doing. Oh shit.
Okay.
Oh shit. Oh, that's fun. Oh, that's fun. Wow.
Okay.
He completely just pattern matched it away into rethinking about the fact that he read a scary
Right, which
manhwa
makes sense because
or
like
manga or book or something, yeah.
Because like doppelgangers are fairly like, you know, it's not entirely new as a concept. Never get that feeling of deja vu.
No, he's like, never mind.
Yeah.
He's like, wait. Yeah. That's cool. And then we literally show, yeah. Show him essentially leaving his body, yeah. It's actually a really helpful way to emotionally
This is way too specific.
Yeah. This is the little things that stick in your head.
Exactly. Brakes were cut.
Holy shit.
Oh shit.
Holy shit.
Nope.
Cool. Alright, I figured it out already. That's good. So is she the one that took the picture in the funeral?
Oh yeah, probably.
Yeah. So you've now seen her. Right. I like how they're making the point of not showing that much of the same imagery again, you know?
Uh-huh.
Pretty impressive for already in the second episode having only a few shots actually be perfectly recreated. There we go. I like the idea that in this iteration he's like even more visibly shaken by the death and they see it that way.
Yeah. Yeah,
but
that's
it's the
cool.
idea that he's learning new information and
right.
It's probably this whole thing's going to be very weary for him as well. And if he ends up feeling like that a lot, he'll probably notice how odd everyone else is acting more by the distinction of how he's feeling.
Oh, sure.
Like what they're doing will stand out more.
I mean, if someone was trying to kill Mio, it's probably the doppelganger that killed her before. Oh, and now he's gonna hear this.
He's now out here for this. Cool.
Yeah, and he's gonna be like, wait, but Mio's inside. What's she doing out here? Oh, she just kills him here?
So then where was the body in the morning?
Well, I think it didn't actually go like
doppelganger.
this and it's already changing.
No, he wasn't out here. This was a perspective that he didn't have. We just cut away before anything. So I think this is what happened.
What?
Oh shit.
Oh, this is how a new shadow gets made.
Cool. So this is gonna be the police officer, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Yeah. Whoa, shit. And that's where, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, fuck.
Oh, shit. Okay.
That's why in the morning he's...
Yeah.
Interesting. Damn, we learned a lot just there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god. Shit.
Oh. All right, well.
This one's gonna be quick.
Yeah.
Mention something about why... Yeah. Something's already been done with him, yeah.
Oh, shit.
Cool. Alright.
Let's get this.
Shiori. Wow, back here.
Yeah. No. Oh, shit. Oh, this is bad. Oh, this is bad. You could get locked into a bad time loop, dude. Like you already are, but it didn't start on the boat.
Shit.
Oh, fuck. That's also a great way to have
maybe
stakes
because he
for
didn't
the
make
show.
as much progress, you know, this time.
Sure.
So we didn't get to go back as far.
Well, no, he... Sure.
Like, he barely made it, like a full 24 hours. Uh-huh.
And it's already different without her actually...
Oh, shit!
Wait, what?
Oh, but now she gets to save him.
Okay.
Bro, you would not sink that far that quickly.
I'm more impressed that she managed to get him out of there.
I mean, she hasn't taken him out of the water yet. She doesn't need to be.
No, right, but like he's bigger than her, so.
I mean, no, but underwater it doesn't matter at all, really. Like. So is she talking to, like,
An accomplice?
like, no, I think she's talking to her like another self, basically. It's the kind of thing that you tell.
Okay.
Like, if she's aware that there's a time loop, then she's... Yeah, she's very aware of what's going on.
Right.
Cool.
But...
That's interesting. So the idea that potentially the shadow already got the little girl, because if Mio was the shadow already at that point, when she saved her,
Right.
then that's how Shiori died. Because the girl was already taken in some way.
Oh, sure. Alright, so he's like, alright, saved his life?
Yep. For taking photos, yeah. And video. Yeah, good idea.
Cool.
Hell yeah. Pokemon Go days, baby. Everyone has an external battery now. Shit!
Oh. Okay.
That's... okay. Yep. And then keep an eye on Mio. Then keep an eye on Mio here. Yeah. There you go. Definitive. It'll be timed video.
Right.
Okay. So that is...
shit. Okay, so then that's probably something that
was
Ushio
granted
did
by
yeah.
by the moment there. Holy shit! Okay, breathe.
What, like, he's worried. Yep. No, see, I was worried that you might be getting murdered in there.
ミオは無事。
Got the knife and everything.
Yeah.
バッチリ映っとるやんけ。
This is gonna go very interestingly.
Yeah. Because of the data from the video, you'd be able to see, like, no, it was recorded at this time.
そいつは昨日の夜9時前にうちの前に現れた。
And so she'll tell him
Wait,
about...
she's got different colored eyes now.
歩いて
No.
No,
山
no,
okay,
she
no.
doesn't. Yeah.
これ私
違う。この時間お前は風呂に入ってたからな。影って言うんやろ。そういうの。なあミオ、影の病って知ってるな。そいつは殺しに来たんや。お前をな。
影の病迷信ちゃうんやな。やっぱりや。
牛尾も見たんやろ。影を。
How'd you know that?
亡くなる3日
Yep.
前に。
しんちゃん影のことお姉ちゃんから聞いてたんやね。
Cool. So she infers it differently that way.
Right.
だけど
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
で、俺も見てしもたんや。お前の影を昨日。
お姉ちゃんは殺されたんかもしれへん。影に。
Okay.
Cool.
Okay, that's the
nice.
episode.
Yeah, that happened so fast.
Yeah.
Well-paced stuff, despite, you know, going over 2 time loops, essentially.
Right.
Because we haven't finished this one, but having
Yeah, it
the
makes sense.
first one end so early,
Yeah, that was
because he
helpful.
kind of deviates so quickly.
Right, because he freaks out.
Well,
as
he
naturally
didn't follow
would.
what he did before. The previous one, he went quite a ways through, but a lot of people ended up dead. Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
So,
To episode 2. Giving us a slightly bigger bird's eye view, if you will.
yes.
And
And Shinpei knows that he's in a time loop. Cool.
Yep.
That I can't believe I didn't realize in the previous episode that, like, yes, a decent chunk of the next episode is going to be just the main character realizing that he's in a time loop, because even though we realize it, he doesn't.
Nope.
And he'll have all the different explanations that, you know, he'd come up with as a way to try and rationalize it, of like, oh, yeah, no, it was just a dream. Oh, I had it because I read that story about doppelgangers and things. So,
Yep.
nope, this is legit. Okay. And he's already figured out some of the ways in which the doppelgangers make their moves before getting to the point that he was in at the end of the first episode,
Yeah.
where Mio was actually killed.
Yeah. One of the things that I really like about this is it's setting up a way in which we can already start to see that he is not necessarily, you know, Shinpei, like at this point, and we have to then take the entire story with a grain of salt, because while other people are having their shadows going about and trying to kill each of them, the idea that he was observed by Shadow Mio, and she was like, no, he's already like something or other. And it's what is that? Oh, well, that's obviously what happened like the beginning of episode 1. Whatever that was with Shiori from Beyond the Grave and Death and all that. She has set him up in a way where it's hey, you have a task, take care of Mio, protect Mio.
Yep.
Which sounds very straightforward in that, oh, someone is trying to kill Mio.
Right.
But-
So naturally,
So
do what you
naturally
can to stop that.
try to do what you can to stop that. But there's no helpful info being given along with that.
Nope.
So that's also potentially a little so we have to look at things very, very carefully.
Right. But there were a lot of things that were done that were very helpful this episode.
Yes.
One, Shinpei was able to get actual concrete evidence that the doppelgangers exist, which means that he doesn't have to be doing this on his own, which means we can get to know the actual characters of the story with some semblance of assuredness that they are not just doppelgangers, right?
Yeah, the tricky thing is you can only share this information safely with specific people per time loop because you don't know, based on how you change things, who's going to turn into a shadow or get, replaced, essentially body snatched or what have you,
Right.
or who's already one, because the episode very strongly implied that the little girl who Shiori tried to save from drowning is already a doppelganger, has already been shadow copied or shadow substituted.
Shadow clone no jutsu.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And now we have this other character here who kind of is set up at the beginning of the time loop as well, who is aware
That
in
the
some
doppelgangers
yeah,
are a
in
thing.
some way of what's going on,
Right.
but probably not with regards to the time loop. Probably more specifically like
Yeah, the wacky shit is happening, and they're
Yeah.
here to investigate, basically.
yeah, they are doing a lot of the weird stuff that was done with that one character in Steins Gate who talked to FB in a lot of ways. And the idea that they're recording their own observances feels like the kind of thing where you would only do that if you weren't specifically sure you were going to make it through this whole investigation.
And it makes sense that if they know that something like this would be this dangerous, they send one person, at least one person, but they have, a handler that they're in contact with, so that way, even if it goes badly, you still have the information.
I do find it weird, though, that she's not talking to a handler. She's specifically recording. I find that kind of odd, though. If she did have a handler, which I would assume she would, like you're saying, I think she would just tell them everything rather than record it, Why not just give it to them directly, immediately?
I mean,
It's the same thing as recording it, but then it's recorded off-site. It's not information that's being given to somebody else. Don't you find that a little odd?
I'd have to check the details of what she was doing. Like
Well, she had a voice recording thing set up.
but you know for a fact it was a voice recording, not just a phone call.
Yeah, they said they showed a whole thing of her UX or her thing
Well, okay,
there.
if it's a voice recording,
Yeah.
Oh,
It's just a
right,
voice
right.
recording. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, a voice recording, but that. Okay, no, yeah, that does make a lot of sense because the handler wouldn't necessarily be. They might be doing other things. It's not like a direct phone call, and you'd want it to be recordings regardless for the sake of documentation.
Well, right. But I think the thing that this actually brings up is that she's not necessarily with a handler. It's something where she's connected to people.
But she is, like, even if she's not actively talking to somebody, she is talking to somebody of, like, this, I do all
It'll
this
help
stuff.
with that clouded brain of yours.
Yeah,
and stuff.
exactly, right.
And that's why I think she's not actually doing this for a handler. It's for herself. She's doing this in some ways, being aware that there's some kind of doppelganger stuff, and she's prepping either a version of herself if she's aware of the time loop, or if she's not aware of the time loop, then she's found some way to counteract she's got some way to deal with the doppelgangers.
Okay, so then she has some device that will give, like, time permanence, so that way the things that she's. Okay.
It goes off into wacky territory either way.
Well, regardless, she has somebody that is her handler, regardless of what the circumstances are for it. Whether it's herself, in another time, her shadow, her, whatever, right? Some actual other person that's off the island. She's doing her thing that she's doing. But the other two things that I wanted to bring up that are very important that the show did in this episode is that it also had Shinpei witness how the shadows were made.
Yes.
Which is very important, right? For the story going forward and the conflict and all of that stuff, so that he knows for a fact these are shadows and, okay, this is how they do their thing. They can vanish bodies, like things like that. All right, cool. So now there's, he really does have a lot of
concrete understanding of the mechanics.
Exactly.
And they're given to us as well, even if we don't know exactly why or how. Right. The point is the visual representation of it is displayed.
Happens, and so there you go.
Yeah.
But then the other thing that's really important that I absolutely adore from the standpoint of this being a time loop story is the fact that the start point was not consistent, right?
Yeah.
It changed.
Yeah.
And it went forward specifically. We don't know if it can go backward. So
we did see a flashback to him observing Ushio sorry,
yeah.
not Ushio, Shiori
getting saved.
Getting saved.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Which, yeah, that was all sorts of weird. Who knows what that was? That might be similar to the whole thing with Ushio giving him like the message at the beginning, you know, because okay, he gets some information at the start of time loops, it seems, but that means because the start time went forward, that means we can have stakes because.
Oops, I've been switching things around a bit. I believe Ushio is the sister.
Yeah, Ushio's the sister.
Yeah, I've been mixing up Ushio and Shiori in my mind here. But keep going,
okay.
keep going, yeah.
Because it's not a set start time, that means that if he messes up, we could theoretically get to a point where, sorry, you can't go back before that bad thing happened.
Yeah.
And then suddenly, so the actual plot consequences of what happens here
Are real.
Are real and very much are important, not just from the character standpoint of, oh God, we see these characters suffer, right?
Right.
And then on top of that, because he proved the whole doppelganger thing and can have people that he's actually interacting with that we know aren't doppelgangers, that means, and theoretically he could even start telling them about the time loop stuff, we can get character progression outside of the main character, which is again a thing that can be very tough to do in time loop stories because you're resetting things. So
Wait,
What?
That's why the recordings are happening. Because if certain things get locked in to the time setup, right? Then the recordings will persist.
Mm-hmm.
Well, hold on.
No.
Hold on. If you have something where consequences, you know, are lasting because you're going to keep moving forward in time before the loop happens. If something was recorded, it's going to remain.
I'm okay. So let's say she records something right after Shinpei's face gets planted in her boobs, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the time moves forward to when they're off the boat, right? So it's after that recording.
Right. That recording will still be there, basically.
Right, but it'll still be there, but it also won't matter that it's still there because like that would have just happened in the time, you know, like
Maybe.
right? Like
maybe.
Because if she had done something different on like a previous iteration, that was actually one of the things I was curious about. I was like, when Shinpei sees her again, did his face actually get planted in her boobs this time? Because the reason that happened the other times was because he got the flash and that startled him, and so then he leaned forward and then it happened, right?
That's actually a good question. I believe the flash happened in this one as well.
Right, but it was but then he came to and he was off the boat, right?
Well, hold on. I'm talking about in the very beginning here.
Mm-hmm.
Because he started off with this flashback.
Right, because we got 2 iterations this episode. So the first one plants in her boobs again, right? But then for the other one,
We start later. So
we start later, right? But normally when you would start at a later point in a time loop with a time loop story, you would assume that everything before then is the same as it has been on previous iterations. But because some of the things that happened were specifically because of the time loop fuckery, right? That won't necessarily have happened. Is it like plot important whether or not, you know, his face went into her boobs? Not necessarily.
No, not
but,
necessarily.
you know, butterfly effect stuff, you know, if he tries to approach her later to be like, hey, I need your help with something, you know, like there's ways this could go that, yeah, I don't know.
There's a flash of light, but there's no like flash out here though. Not out in the there was obviously a flash of light in the tunnel of truth that he went through on his way here. But no, there's nothing here.
Yeah.
Because it has nothing to do with the time loop, at least from the surface. I think it's just entirely an aspect of him either being watched or some aspect of what the girl is doing, the suit girl is doing. And
what's as a result of that?
The Flash, she's doing that.
Oh, yes, the picture's being taken. Well, that totally could be her.
That makes sense for her to be doing that.
Well, potentially.
Because her story starts before this, like long before this. So at some point we'll need to know what brought her here.
Absolutely. But given that we had it established that the Flash is connected to the actual creation of the shadows, right?
Like, yes, which means that he was just made into a shadow at that point. Because we know that she's not going to copy him because something has already been done to him. That's probably the iteration in the thing where...
when was he flashed?
In the very beginning of the show. Like the very, very beginning.
Okay.
She gives him the thing in the vision. Mm-hmm. It's probably the eye.
Yeah.
Then there's the flash. He freaks out, flops into her boobs, and that's why he's got this special thing here, is he's looping. So that's either world building to establish that all the shadows are getting caught into this loop in some ways, and are trying to advance further or something like that. Or this is just some aspect of what Ushio has given to Shinpei. And that instance there is just another example of his vision being messed with through the eye.
Okay.
Because the only time that... Yeah, I think there's only been the funeral. The time in this episode was when the shadow was created.
Right.
Meaning that during the funeral, a shadow was created.
Which is weird, because that would be like the worst time to do it, because one, it'll attract attention. Everybody was like, hey, who took a photo, right? But two,
right,
it's not like you'd be able to quickly swap out a body. And we even saw that there's residue left behind when you destroy the old body. So.
Right, which means it's not actually a shadow being created. It's a start of a process for a shadow being created. It's like an image capture being grabbed, so that at a later point in the story, someone will then be turned into a shadow. So you know that someone at the funeral is being prepped by their own shadow to be turned into a shadow.
Yeah, what I would assume was happening there is that's where Mio was being prepped to be turned into a shadow. Right.
Oh, okay. So let's go back. Let's go back to the shadow creation bit in
to see exactly how it happens.
To see when the
right. So she stabs him a shit ton.
Yeah. She has her yandere look.
Right.
And then we see her in this kind of ghostly perspective that we see
him in.
Right.
And then...
Right. And then we see a...
flickering around the shadow of his that's still on the ground. And then that's where the shadow comes... Or hers, sure.
Hers, yeah.
And from her shadow, that's where she makes him.
Right. Because I want to say it's the ability of the shadows to then adjust the image, because they use this to also disintegrate the body as well.
Sure.
Right. He gets over this here and he goes, Ksh. Yeah.
Oh, right.
Right.
The Flash is a body being destroyed, not a shadow being created.
Well, it could be. Yeah.
Wait, so then who was the body that was destroyed during the funeral?
Was there not any point before that, though, that there was a Flash?
No.
Yeah, there was, see? There was, right here. There you go. There was another point. Yeah. Yeah, no shadow being no stuff being destroyed at that point.
Right, and yet the cop was already killed.
You know,
because like normally I would think if you're taking a photo as a shadow, you're taking a photo of the person while they're alive to be like, I'm copying them at this specific point in time.
Yeah, you know what I think it is that this is the prep that she's doing to copy him. But if you look, I think you were right about the shadow here. It looks off. It looks like it could be, like it looks like it's not necessarily her shadow. So then after that, he gets created out of her shadow.
Right, and it makes sense that the flashes would create the shadows because literally flashes make shadows.
Literally a flash of light would make a shadow.
Right.
So if the idea is that, this is a visual representation of the result of the photo being taken, we get a copy. That makes a lot of sense just in that aspect. But then when he does it,
it doesn't look like a shadow that's made. It's just like a soot like body outline.
Right. And I think what it is that he's assimilating and deleting the residue of his copy now. He's essentially fully substituted the original. He has the memories, he has the personality. There's a moment of time where she's giving him, this is who you are, showing that he's actually just some entity there. And then it takes him a second to then go, oh, wait. And now he's in the personality there. That's none of your business. You're as cute as ever, Mio. Like he's like real. He has he has all the aspects of him fully integrated.
And that could also be a fun explanation for why she seems so obvious and off. It's because she hasn't killed her person yet.
Right. Yeah.
Once she kills her person and absorbs the body or whatever, then she'll
them.
actually know who they are and how they would act in things. So then the flash during the funeral was when her shadow would have been made, since it's when the right. So then it was probably as a result of the girl.
Hold on.
Yeah.
We have a moment in time thing we can use to ground this. She has had her shadow of here before Shinpei came, because her shadow cut the line on the brakes, trying to kill her, trying to hospitalize her.
Okay, no, that's a good point.
So the shadow was not being made at the funeral.
Yeah, no.
That's a different thing. That's
Right,
just,
potentially someone else's shadow that was made there.
well, right. And we have a very, very, very strong hint that the little girl is already
A shadow.
And that's why she's not talking.
Right.
They made a point about how she's kind of acted differently since then, which everyone totally reasonably understands because it's traumatic as fuck.
But it also might be because you were killed and your body was swapped, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So yeah, I think that's
and the
more...
flash photography kind of style of it also goes in well with the title of Summertime Rendering.
Oh, sure. But also the direction he turns in of the flash, when he looks in that direction as to where it is literally her staring right there.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
In the way there. Now, I do like that this type of shot here basically makes everyone look
right, because he's
kind of
at
obvious.
one end of the room. He's at the casket,
right.
And then, there's a flash. Yeah.
But she is looking with that deadpan, like, expression.
So maybe it was her trying to make him into a shadow, and it's it didn't work for some reason.
Oh, that could be interesting.
But, yeah, because one of the...
Yes, who's to say, because there's a ton of other people in front of her.
Yes.
Yeah.
But given how this episode went, I would say it's pretty safe to assume that one of the major conflicts in the end game of the show is going to be learning how the shadows are made and why, rather than dealing with a specific shadow. Because if they're everywhere, like the lady was saying, if there's so many of them, you can't just deal with the shadows, right? You got to go to the root problem. And that can be how they get into the lore of how this all started, you know, what exactly it's all about, what it means, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. But Nezu brought up that this is not a new thing. This is a consistent thing as well. So this also could be a thing where, because we have time muckery, it could actually be solved forever, even if it's something that predates this story.
Also, something we can actually deduce based on Mio's shadow. She was made a shadow at school.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's obvious. Yeah.
Right. So
blatantly obvious. Wow. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
So
yeah.
I wanna make the prediction that I think the best friend is already a shadow.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
So it's now the situation is there's only a few people that you can genuinely trust. It's that kind of
and the
body
people you
snatchers
can
horror
trust
story.
is the people who you've seen the shadows for, and then you can know that the shadow is in one place, therefore the other person is the real deal.
Right, so right now actually the cop is the next best person to go
makes
and
sense.
interact with.
Yeah, because he's also the person with a gun, and if he's convinced Mio of the whole duplicate situation, and then they give proof of that to the cop, if he's kind of creeper crushing on Mio, then that would be a way to convince him basically of like, no.
Right, we're building our Stranger Things crew. We're gonna have our little team of people that are gonna be like, we've got the guy, we've got his sister,
guy with the gun,
we got the awkward bumbling, shaggy cop,
Yeah. I'll use 2% of my power. Yeah.
right. But yeah, the idea as well that this town is haunted by something that very clearly has a desire, a goal, a mission, a purpose here that is not just kill everyone. There is
It's replace everyone.
It's replace everyone. It incorporate either itself or a whole bunch of iterations of itself into as many people as possible.
Oh, and that also goes to show that anytime we hear things of like, oh, that family is missing, they're just all gone in our shadows by this point, right? So, it's not something of like, oh, they're maybe in hiding or something like that, and that's why no one's seen them. No, you really don't have to have a body problem, of like, oh, this person was murdered if no one sees it actually happen.
And this is a way that they can also tie it back to the town specifically, is that the town has been dealing with this for a while. So therefore, the shrine is probably going to be one of the things where they can tie in a supernatural element to this, so that the way they've solved this in the past was not having necessarily a temporal looping guy.
You think they solved it in the past? You don't think the shadows just took over completely and succeeded, and now 1 billion people in the town are shadows?
Well, if that was the case, then you just go for the fact that the reason why people disappear is not because they're shadows, just that. It's that they went to the rest of the world to go and continue the spread of this sickness.
That's
why I'm thinking, no, there's something in this town that's special. There's something reason why they're here.
There's a reason why Suit Lady is here.
There's a reason why Suit Lady is here, exactly.
Yeah.
And knows to be here.
Right.
And
that I would say would be the fourth member of the Stranger Things squad to bring in, because you got to have 2 adults in the mix, right?
That's true.
You get Shaggy the cop, and then you get Suit Lady
too, yeah.
Right, exactly. Yep.
Yeah, but we'll need to go on their route essentially in order to
convince them and be like,
It's really interesting because this definitely feels like it's got that video game aspect to it with like a lot of things going in that general direction, but I'm not sure what this is an adaptation of. So that's actually something that could be kind of fun to play with.
Something that I was also thinking about. So if Shinpei is a shadow, right, that could theoretically, depending on whether the shadow thing is tied to the time fuckery or not, that could create complications if the shadows also are in time loops or something. But on top of that, if the shadows take, at the very least, the personality of the people whose bodies they destroy, but potentially the memories as well.
Sure.
If Shinpei ever tells somebody that there's a time loop or that he knows about it or whatever, and then they get defeated in a timeline, then you could get a situation where then they know. Although if they... Oh, wait, no, hang on. But that could actually just be fine if they don't have the time loop things, because then the time would reset and they wouldn't know again. Right. If they do have time looping stuff, then that'd be a serious problem.
Except here's the other thing. We don't know where they're coming from. And this is one of the things that I think we've still left things open enough, and the story...
Where it could be they're from another timeline.
That they were from another timeline. And that's where this story has also some emotional implications for the characters as to why certain ones are getting turned versus others.
Well, and that's also where you can double dip with the characterization, in addition to the infinite dipping you can do because it's a time loop show, because then you can have the doppelgangers also get characterization. And while at the same time saving time, because they're going off of the base template of the actual person,
copied,
right, that we'll get to know over the course of the show.
Right. So I think we have 2 mechanics here. One, in order for a shadow to copy somebody, they probably have to take a photo of that person at some point. Thus, once you've seen your doppelganger, you're probably going to be dead within the week, because they're then prepping and stalking you to then be able to switch your body. But there's going to be no evidence of your body being out there anywhere, because they have the ability to just disintegrate you into nothing.
Although, one of the other things that's weird is, given the situation with Mio and the cop.
Tetsu.
The photo was from the flash was from another shadow turning someone into a shadow, right?
Well, I think it was from her. I think it was from Mio. We didn't see who did it.
No, right. I'm guessing Mio was, that the photo was her making him into a shadow.
Yeah.
But because of that means that by the time you see your shadow when you're going to die and all that stuff, somebody's already taken a picture of you.
Yeah.
right? And that
Yeah, exactly.
that makes things interesting, because then if you actually find out who is a shadow, you could also be able to find out who else is going to be a shadow, because who they come into contact with and things like that, right? Like there had to have been some first shadow, because the shadows can't just make themselves, right?
And also another thing, potentially a mechanic here as well. I want to bring up something here. Both flashes have happened in places where there's a dead body.
Wait. Okay.
Oh wait, no, not for Shinpei though, because Shinpei is just sitting on the boat.
Well, Shinpei's one,
Shinpei's one is different.
it doesn't have to be the same kind of flash.
That's true.
It could just, like, it doesn't have to be, well,
But just the idea that there's a possibility that they can't do it to a living person, because then this would be probably a lot easier.
No, because there's the ability, like, if you see your shadow, you're going to die, right?
Right.
If they can't make a shadow from somebody who's a living, then you would never see your shadow.
Sure. So maybe in order to bring that shadow into being, they need to be dead. So for this, so there's 3 steps here. I'm trying to break this down into steps here. First step, they take a photo.
Right.
Right. Whenever that happens. They can be alive or dead necessarily.
Right.
Doesn't really matter. Second step is they then actually incorporate a shadow being into the world, basically. Right.
Yep.
And then third step is then that shadow that was just incorporated goes to their body,
Their
person,
and kills them and takes over removes their body.
Well, yeah, gets
does
rid
whatever
of them.
this whole thing was.
Gets rid of them. Yeah.
Right.
Those steps are all, I would say, extremely important for their own respective reasons. But I would say the first 2 are different steps. Because the shadow was incorporated from Mio's shadow. So, like you're saying, another shadow was needed in order to set it up.
Yeah, well, and we didn't see some shadow immediately get made at the funeral, right? The flash was from someone in the room.
That was half of the step. Or at least a third of the steps.
Yeah.
But, okay. Okay, y'all. We're getting tons of stuff here. Our heads are splitting.
Shit.
This is some whack shit.
But I love the quality of life things. I just want to reiterate, I love the quality of life things that are in here to make the time travel story be fresh with what we're able to do with regards to the characters and the plot and the stakes and things like that.
Yeah, and next episode will be the solidifying of specific things into patterns.
Forming the team and all that stuff.
Well, right, but also there are still a couple things that they've only introduced once that they can introduce for maybe like a second time again. Like if there's going to be some specific things that are,
if the start time for the time loop changes again, you know, and then
he's back, you know,
right. If he starts to be able to figure out some pattern as to why and how it happens, you know, so that then he can predict what's going to happen. Because that's the worst part of this, right? All the terror of, oh, what bad stuff could happen. You don't have the safety of it's a time loop, because it could literally just lock you in right as after your throat's been slit. Like,
right.
Yeah.
But y'all, thank you so much
awful.
thank you so much for watching this episode's reaction and discussion. If you want to see the next episode's reaction and discussion right now, though, go check out the link in the description below for our Patreon. You can get an early access there. You can watch full-length timer reactions there, and all this comes with Discord access, so you can chat with us in the community there about this show, about anime in general, and also be sure to check out my Persona 5 Royal Let's Play on Twitch, and if any of that interests you, we'll see you there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all
Next time.